Welcome to Plant the Love. We are going to talk about fostering wellness through the power of natural plants and positive mental health practices. I am your host, Ashleigh Rawson. On our show, you're going to hear from folks who have a lot of knowledge and expertise about this sneaky little subject. If you're curious if this path is right for you, you have come to the right place. We will empower you with information to make healthy, life-changing choices. We're so glad you're here. Now on to the episode. Disclaimer. The content in this show is for informational purposes only. It is not intended for medical advice. It does not take the place of treatment by a medical health professional. Listeners and viewers should consult with their doctor or medical health professional with any medical concerns. I am not a doctor. However, we do work closely with doctors when we review medications. I do not have a medical degree of any kind. What we are discussing has been in no way approved by the FDA. What I am sharing with you has been from my own experience and research. If you are taking any medication, do not make any changes until you consult your doctor. And now, let's start the Plant the Love show. Hey, welcome to Plant the Love. I am Ashleigh, and we are broadcasting worldwide on NGBN TV network, the Men's Mental Health Network. And I'm honored to have with me today a dear friend of mine and colleague, Dr. Dori Abbot. Dr. Abbott and I actually had a privilege of meeting many years ago. Laura Campanella introduced us. Shout out to you, Laura. A lot of love for introducing us. Dr. Abbott was in the education field for 30 years. She was a high school teacher and guidance counselor. And unfortunately, after a catastrophic health crisis, she began researching how to get better and ways to heal her autoimmune disease. I'll let her tell you a little bit about herself, but she has a master's in school administration and supervision, as well as a PhD in pastoral care. And her real life credentials include healing herself from MS and going from a wheelchair to line dancing, kickboxing in a matter of 6 years. I am here to bring you Dr. Dori Abbot.
Thank you.
Hey, how are you?
I'm good.
Wonderful.
Good. Life is good.
Life is fantastic. You are a miracle. You are absolutely a miracle. I remember when Laura introduced us, and I think that was 2018. I couldn't believe that you were living in a wheelchair and have completely transformed your life, because you are definitely not in a wheelchair anymore. You are helping people.
In fact, I just got married last year.
Tell us a little bit about yourself, your journey, and what that's led to.
If you had told me 11 years ago that I would be all the way across the country running my own holistic health clinic and meeting all the people that I have, I just wouldn't, there's no way I could have ever believed that, because I was just so bad off. And doctors told me, this is the way your life is. This is as good as it's going to get. We can give you medication. It's not going to fix it, but it might slow it down, but it has all these nasty side effects. And, I just wanted to die. I really did. But God had other plans. It was cool. And as I realized I was writing a book for a fellow. He was an alternative practitioner as well. And I was writing about autoimmunity and stress and all these different things, adaptogenic herbs like we'd be talking about. And I realized if I just did all the things that I was researching and writing, that I probably could heal myself. I wasn't sure, but I thought, what do I have to lose, So your
aha moment was doing research.
Yes, okay. Because I realized that, it sounded crazy to go 16 or 18 hours without eating every day, and to, drop gluten and dairy and sugar, and to sleep for 8.5 hours. I mean, it just seemed ridiculous to me, because it was so unlike my stressful lifestyle that I just, but as I adopted, and I love the concept of baby stepping your way out of something, because that's literally what I did. I could walk 11 steps one day, and that's all I could walk, and with a walker, like an old lady. And I was just, it was terrible. I was embarrassed. I was sad. I was frustrated, and then I realized tomorrow I only have to walk 12. I really don't have to walk any more than one more step. And the next day, 13, and the next day, 14. And I literally baby stepped my way out of that. So, with everything.
That's important for people to understand that this doesn't happen overnight.
No.
This is when you use this type of therapy, it takes planning, it takes preparation, it takes education, and it doesn't happen overnight. One of the things you and I talk a lot about is homeostasis. Can you define for everybody what is homeostasis and why is it important?
Yes, homeostasis is a sciencey word, if you will, and it's about balance and rest. So homeostasis means all systems in the body are balanced for a human. This is what it means, that all systems are balanced. Nothing's out of whack. Nothing's running too hot, too cold. And therefore you can heal yourself. When the body's in homeostasis, you can heal from anything that comes your way. But when the body's in a state of fight, flight, freeze, I don't know, they keep adding new F words, but, fight or flight, basically you're fighting a tiger all the time, which you are if you have chronic infection like Epstein-Barr, Lyme disease, or mold infection or parasites, whatever. The body is in a state of chronic stress. And when it's in a state of stress, it is using all of its resources to fight those things. It can't heal it can't heal new challenges that come along. So homeostasis, is just that place of balance and rest.
Why don't we talk about that in modern medicine, homeostasis? Why isn't that talked about with our regular doctor?
You want the true?
I mean, this is the discussion that I want our listeners to understand.
For one thing, there's no money in it. There's no money in people healing themselves.
Okay.
I mean, you know what I'm saying? We have a chronically sick model when doctors, and no offense to doctors, they're wonderful people with great hearts, but the system is flawed. It started, when they began to wear the white coats covered in blood. The more blood they had, the better doctor they were considered to be. We call that archaic now. That seems ancient. And I believe we're in the period of quantum medicine now. We're not in a chemical medical paradigm anymore.
What do you mean by quantum?
The laws of physics rule the universe. We understand this now from Einstein and Tesla and some of the great mathematicians and scientists of the last century. We understand that when you shift the energy of anything, you shift the reality. Energy always changes first, and then physical reality manifests afterwards. So when you shift the energy inside your brain or your muscles or your joints or whatever, you're shifting a physical reality. And in 7 full years, you'll be a completely different person because every cell in your body will have renewed itself.
Truth. And that's part of the whole homeostasis,
right?
Our thinking, our, everything, basically everything. So what things did you have to change in your life?
Everything, really, truly. I changed what I ate, when I ate, how I ate, with whom I ate. I changed how I slept, when I slept. I won't say with whom I slept. That sounds a little racy, but but I just basically I had a new relationship with everything in my life. I grew up as an overachiever, always having to be at the top of my class, always having to accomplish things that my parents weren't able to accomplish. And it took a toll. I raised 3 kids by myself. I was working as a high school teacher and a principal, and it just took its toll on me. And there just becomes a tipping point, where your body can't take anymore. And I had mercury poisoning, actually, when they diagnosed me with multiple sclerosis. It's kind of a fake diagnosis in a sense. I mean, it's true. There are scars. I have 23 lesions on my brain and 17 on my spine. I feel the effects of it certain times, balance issues and things like that. But the fact is what caused it? That's the real culprit. It's not MS that's the culprit. It was mercury. And mercury is a heavy metal that's a neurotoxin, and it's not supposed to be in our mouths.
There's the gap. Gap. So we are in a system. Modern medicine, all respect. Respect modern medicine. It does wonderful things. It treats a symptom.
Right.
So we have a symptom, we get a medication, it treats the symptom. The medicine, or the I don't even want to say medicine per se, but the practice you and I are discussing treats an entire system in our bodies.
Absolutely.
And that system regulates homeostasis.
Absolutely. And they all work together. You cannot have an atomistic view of the body and say, well, you're going to go to a GI doctor for the stomach problem and you're going to go to a hormone doctor for this. No, they all play together. And if you find the key to regulating the nervous system, which I know that's what you do with the products that you have and the businesses that you have. But when you regulate the nervous system and you get it to that point of homeostasis, anything is possible. anything.
And so what time frame? I mean, how long does it take for someone to regulate a nervous system and regulate homeostasis? How long does this take?
Depending on how many toxins they're carrying and how much how willing they are to make some lifestyle changes. I mean, people hate change. Let's face it. You cross your arms like this for 100 years and somebody tells you have to cross them that way. And you get we're all bent out about it because it just doesn't feel right. It doesn't feel comfortable to change our ideas. I know with cannabis, one of the big ideas, I mean, I went to Bible college, so I get the resistance. I was right. There's huge resistance. And currently I hate to tell you the name of the book, but I'm writing a book called The Garden of Eden. And, it's got Adam and Eve on the front. They've got little like cannabis leaves instead of fig leaves,
Yes.
cover them, because the church needs to rethink, really. It needs to rethink its stance on cannabis, because what are the options? The options are opiates and pharmaceutical meds that have so many side effects. And as a homeopath, I know that when you add A plus B, something happens synergistically and you have C, and nobody really knows what C is when you put two medicines in your body.
We're going to take a quick break, but I want to ask you a quick question. So, how many people, we both know hundreds of thousands die of alcoholism and opioids a year, opioids Schedule 2. So according to the NIH study, and you and I have both looked at it, how many people have died of cannabis?
To my knowledge,
0. And on that note, we are going to hear from one of the best labs that I have ever, I am so happy to be part of this group. Ossity has done phenomenal things with the hemp plant, and they have made some remarkable products, and they are sponsoring the show. And I'm so pleased to be able to promote their products because they've done everything right. Quality grade medicine. Let's hear from Ossity. We'll take a quick break.
Over the last several years, the hemp industry has exploded. And Ossity is a company from the South taking charge of this new frontier. We start with our own world-class plant genetics and use organic and sustainable farming practices to nurture our seedlings into top-quality flower. Our award-winning team uses a state-of-the-art extraction process to isolate not just CBD, but other complementary cannabinoids like CBG and CBC. We remove impurities and then have our own in-house analysis team check and recheck the accuracy of our extracted distillate that goes into our finished products. Our CBD distillate is over 95% pure. Its integrity is unrivaled. We are the industry standard for purity, quality, and consistency. We have a variety of skin gels, edibles, and tinctures. Try our brand out for yourself, and you'll know what quality really means.
It's remarkable. I love what they've done. They have really focused on the cannabinoid, not the full spectrum. So they've really focused on isolating specific cannabinoids that focus on energy or sleep instead of just throwing it all into a bottle. And a lot of years, a lot of research, a lot of brilliant minds work at that lab, and they've just done a phenomenal job. And I'm so happy. Thank you, Ossity, for sponsoring us. So, Dr. Dori, where can folks find you?
Our clinic is in Bixby on Memorial and 121st.
Bixby, Oklahoma. Because this is worldwide. And yes, you do see people from out of the country.
Yes,
and the
we
States.
do. We do remote coaching, and obviously we don't have the equipment at a person's home, though we can, if for the right amount of money, we can sell them that equipment. But we see people in office, and they usually come for 6-month or 3-month or 12-month wellness programs where we really lean into their health and handle all the different things and change the whole really trajectory of where their health is headed.
When someone comes to visit you, real quick, and then we'll go to my 5-minute lesson, but when someone comes to visit you, I guess everybody sort of has to be at a level of how sick and tired they're sick and tired in order to do something about it. So what motivates that change? To say, I'm willing to do what it takes to make changes in my life.
That's a good question. That's a deep question. I think people have to be sick and tired of being sick and tired. They have to have spent enough money and enough time and been told, hey, you just need an antidepressant because there's nothing wrong with you, when they know darn well there is something wrong with them. There just comes a tipping point where they just say enough is enough. And then they find me, and it's awesome. Or somebody speaks in to their life. It's usually word of mouth, and they come in. But again, I have to sort of feel out, are you really ready to change? Are you really ready to change some things? Yes, they're baby steps, but you have to keep making them every day. And the people who consistently make those choices for life instead of death, they succeed. I mean, we see what look like miracles coming out of there, but it's just science, really.
It's just like coming into a 12-step program. You got to be ready, and willing,
ready, willing. And then you have to have support. I always the spouse or the family or that if you hang around people that are unhealthy, you're going to be unhealthy. So it's important to have a group of support, of people who support you and encourage you in those things, because if they're undermining it, you're just wasting your time and money and energy.
It's amazing how we don't know the energies around us can truly impact our health.
Absolutely.
Yes. Well, thank you so much for being here. It's an honor to see you. And thank you for all the work that you continue to do. And we will most certainly have the information on how to get in touch with you. I say Prairie Hills Health, correct, in Bigsby?
Yes.
Okay, Dr. Dori, we appreciate you. We're going to go into our 5-minute lesson real quick. Every week, we're going to have a 5-minute lesson. I call it KISS, Keep It Simple, Sweetheart. And so we're going to talk a little bit about what is the difference between hemp and marijuana, because it is two of the largest confusions. Okay, so hemp is one plant, marijuana is another. They are the same species, but different plants. And so let me start by saying a Schedule I drug classification means zero medicinal benefit. At current, hemp, which you make rope, paper, and clothing, and marijuana, never killed a soul in the history of mankind, are currently registered as Schedule I drugs under the United States Federal Administration. When they made it a Schedule I, that made it impossible to do any medicinal research on these plants. And so I, like Dr. Dori and other people in our world, have slowly sort of done our own research under a log, or whoever will answer our questions, to help us figure out a little bit about these plants and why it is that we don't have any research. And most of the research that I have gained has come out of Israel. Israel's been studying, they actually found the endocannabinoid system in 1994. And I hope I do not butcher this gentleman's name. He is a fabulous human. No, he's not a doctor, he's a professor, Raphael Mechoulam. And he found the endocannabinoid system, which is a system of cells that regulates inflammation in our bodies. And in order for us to feed that system of cells, we need to give it cannabinoids. And this slide that I'm about to show up gives you a great orientation of the endocannabinoid system in our bodies. And as you can see, there's little dots, and each dot is different colors. We see a lot of blue dots, and we see a lot of other different dots. And in our bodies, in the endocannabinoid system, and thank you, Ossity Labs, this is a fantastic sheet to look at so that you can gain an understanding of what the endocannabinoid system is. And you can see that there are receptors that are spread out throughout our entire body. And CB1, if you treat CB1 by itself, it helps the lungs, the vascular system, the muscles, gastrointestinal, and even the reproductive. If you treat CB2 by itself, it helps the spleen, the bones, and skin. But my goodness, when you hit the CB1 and CB2 receptors together, it's called an entourage effect. It hits the central nervous system. It helps everything. It really helps balance the homeostasis in our bodies, so that we can function just as well as Dr. Dori was explaining to us earlier. So going back to the plants, hemp is now legal under the Farm Bill of 2019. It's legal under the Farm Bill, which is why on every store you see hemp CBD stores. Cannabis, marijuana, and actually, if I'm going to be fair, they call hemp and marijuana both cannabis sometimes. Now, cannabis is legal according to state. So each state has to make that whether or not it is legal. There's talk that the current administration could be changing this from a Schedule 1 to a 3, which means that marijuana will then be considered something as safe as Tylenol over the counter. That's how much of a change we are making if they were to deschedule it from a 1 to a 3. And then, of course, we would have the research. But how do you patent and make money off a plant? I'll let you think about that for just a minute. So anyway, the art of using plant-based medicine is that you must combine the two together. So I understand people maybe like to have a puff or a gummy, and that's great if it has THC in it. But the magic of the medicine is the hemp CBD. And so if someone were to come to Oklahoma and get their medical card, that's something that I help them do. They would see our doctor. We submit the paperwork to the state. They're waiting about a week and a half to get their card. During that time period, I strongly encourage them to begin taking hemp CBD because you're slowly feeding that into your endocannabinoid system over time. When you start using these plants, it needs to be on a stair-step type of stair-step process, so if you will. It's you don't want to give your body 10 to 20 milligrams of THC if you've never had it before. You should be starting with 1 or 2. So anyway, that's just a brief little lesson. We're keeping it simple. And we will continue to go through all of these elements of plant-based medicine as we continue to, each week. We'll be talking about different plants, different vitamins, different minerals. But by and large, I think that the most crucial thing for people to know is that if you're going to use plant-based medicine, one, research, don't just jump into it. Really think about what it is that you're doing. Consider what changes will need to be made in your own life, and then find an expert, because ratio dosing with plants is crucial. And to me, it is the most important part of the entire project, if you will. And the tragedy that we have is that when we made it a Schedule 1, we made it a gap, meaning patients don't go to the doctor to get their medical card. They go to a dispensary. And unfortunately, in dispensaries, we aren't really tasked with explaining to people, you need to have this and this together, or this will be too strong. And then I'm going to give you one little emergency break. And this is what I like to tell all my clients. If you have a gummy that is entirely too strong, instead of calling an ambulance or going to the ER, all you have to do is take a full spectrum hemp CBD. It waters down the THC in your system, which is the psychoactive component, and then it will regulate you within 15 to 30 minutes. It's just a great thing for people to know. So I hope that what people gain is information that I'm able to share that took me years. And I lost a family member to epilepsy, and that's what got me. That was my aha. I wanted to understand what epilepsy was after he passed away. And I began researching and found chat rooms of parents who had also been sort of exploring different options so that their children would have another option other than a pharmaceutical. And I remember hearing stories of parents whose CPS was called on them. I mean, just using hemp CBD was causing a lot of problems. So they, at that point, this was 2014, decided to up and move to Colorado so that their kids could utilize hemp-based CBD as well as cannabis oil. And they were moving there one-on-one. I just heard story after story. And it was one of those parents that led me to all of the research in Israel. And that has been my life's work for the past 6 years. And I'm so happy that I have teamed up with Osity with a fabulous product and NGBN TV so that we can share with the world the magic of plant-based medicine and all of the amazing things that it does. On my last note, the homeostasis piece. When you start using plants, think of it like an engine. An engine, you must be very gentle and careful with how you add oil. You can't just splurt a whole bunch onto it or your body's not going to really behave correctly. So if you're dripping the oil slowly over time, for example, if I had a client, I would say start a CBD drop at night. Don't do it during the day because we don't know how your body's going to react. And even hemp CBD, which has such beautiful cannabinoids, can really make you feel relaxed. And so we want to, again, planning with plant-based medicine is crucial. And so plan to start with hemp CBD first. And then over time, your body gets used to it. Your endocannabinoid system awakens. And then we will slowly teeter in little pieces of THC, which comes from cannabis, and it's that psychoactive ingredient. But when we talk about plant-based therapy, cannabinoids in general are the major piece. THC is only a small piece, but yet it's the demon that everyone attacks. And there's actually 141 cannabinoids. THC is only one of them. So that means there's 140 cannabinoids that do not have any psychoactive effects whatsoever, and they do beautiful things to your body. And I am just grateful to have this platform to be able to share with everyone what I know and bring in my network of individuals that also have love for this subject and just want to help people be happy, feel better, and improve the quality of their lives. And I just can't be, I'm very grateful for this opportunity, and looking forward to continuing to shed some light for all of you as you either consider this journey or go forth in taking this journey yourself. And so happy that you're here at Plant the Love. And that's it for our first episode. We hope you enjoyed it. Tune back in next week and have a fantastic day.